Hey, my celestial kings and queens. This is Mystic Storm here to clear a path to a new life with you. So, I want to say happy full moon in Aries. I am so excited for this full moon energy. I was about to say new moon, but full moon for sure energy. The moon is illuminated and beautiful, and it full moons is a time to celebrate a completion of something. It's also a time to put things to an end and release. So, depending on what's going on in your life, you might want to do either or and focus your energy on that. So, we're going to get started with our astrology forecast for today. And we're going to start with the chart shape. So with the chart shape, with the full moon in Aries, we have the majority of the planets are on the, it's called other oriented, and it's like halfway, and the planets are going halfway into the chart towards the descendant. So what this means is we're more focused on relationships at this point. We might be focusing on our partner more than we're focusing on ourselves. And that might be okay in some senses because these relationships might be new and fresh, especially since we talked about cuffing season. And with those new partnerships, you're probably, putting more emphasis on trying to make sure your partner's happy, make sure that you're putting in your effort into the relationship. And we also seen this because Venus entered Scorpio on October 8th. And with that, we'll get its intense energies with, it could be jealousy and obsessiveness that might come into play. So there might be some tension in the relationship that's going on as well. So I want to mention, if you have not checked out my Pick a Card love reading, definitely go check that out. There's a link going to be up here somewhere, so make sure you check that out. Next, we're going to get into the elemental balance. So for our fire signs, we have two planets in fire. We have the full moon in Aries as well as Jupiter in Sagittarius. And for our earth signs, we have three planets, and that's Uranus, which is in retrograde in Taurus, and Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn. Now, I know we talked a lot about Uranus, which is in retrograde in Taurus, and how that affects us in my previous video called Rebuilding Our Structure, so make sure you check that out as well. Next, for the elemental balance, we have air. We have two planets in air signs, and that's Mars and the Sun in Libra. And lastly, we have water, which has three planets in a sign, and that's Neptune, which is in retrograde, and its ruler Pisces, as well as Venus and Mercury in Scorpio. So you see, we have a well-balanced energy here, but earth and water wins with 3-3, and that that takes over our chart, and it's going to be emphasis on productive and hardworking since Mars is in Libra, but earth energy tends to muddy waters, so emotional expression may be restricted and create misunderstandings. So that leads into partnerships as well. So make sure you're mindful, especially, since we have that tension with Venus in Scorpio, and there might be a bit of jealousy and, obsessiveness. That's going to create misunderstandings within partners. So make sure we're mindful of that, and we're trying to be open in our communication. So getting into the numerology aspect of it, I had a breakdown. So from thinking of it as fire, earth, air, water, we had 2, 3, 2, 3. So 23, 23 If we add those together, like the twos and both twos and threes, that's 5 5. So that signifies that there's a change happening, a transformation happening within us and within our whole world. And then if we add 5 5 together, we have 10, which means that there is a completion of something. Anything that you have been working towards, you can see that you're on the verge of completing this, and this should be a celebratory time because we've been working so hard this year to manifest and for us to bring whatever we want, that we've dreamed about and we desired into our lives. So this is a completion of a cycle that we should be celebrating. And of course, if we add 1 plus 0 from that 10, we get 1. So that signifies a new beginning. And we can definitely see a new beginning changing within the season. We're in fall. We're approaching Samhain or Halloween, which a lot of people consider the new year coming. And then also we have this full moon in Aries, which is Aries is the beginning sign of the zodiac wheel. So it's double, like definitely we completed this cycle that we've been going on, and we're just starting all over again. So hopefully, within that cycle, we did a lot of growth work, a lot of transformation, and now we're starting to see some of the same things that might have been happening in the past, but we're wiser, we have more discernment, and we're going through those in different ways with new and fresh perspective. So that's beautiful. Next, we're going to talk about the polarities, and the majority of the planets are in negative signs, which is causing us to have more receptive energy, more feminine energy, and for us to look inward and to find our inner truth. That was our, it's been a lot lately, and I feel like probably going forward, it will be more receptive energy within the polarities because we're going into a darker time in the season. So the signs that we have that are in the negative are Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, Pisces, and Scorpio. Now, the only one that's missing from that is Cancer, but we don't have any planets in Cancer currently. So just make sure, since we have all this negative pull or this receptive pull, that we're digging in deep. And it might cost for us to take time to heal. It's another onion layer that we have to peel off. We healed this layer, we pulled that back, but there's another layer of healing we have to do, another layer of transformation that we have to do. And, new situations arise where we have to, change and adapt. So make sure you're going within and know what you really want in this new cycle, in this new beginning. So just make sure you're taking that time and become the hermit and know that you're the light. All right, next we have the sun, which is in Libra. So shout out to all my Libras. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Thank you so much for all this energy that y'all are giving to us, that you're clearing paths and swinging and the scale and balancing out all of us, giving us this love and affectionate energy. Thank you so much for that. Like, it it is a very transformative, beautiful time. So just hope you're celebrating your birthday, and I hope, I wish you all the more. So with the sun, it's focusing on what we're seeing outwardly in us as well as others. We're going to be more affectionate, more self-expressive. We're going to be more social and creative, but we also might have withdrawals and ebbs from our setbacks that we've had previously. And then, but with that, we'll follow through more of our tasks, because with those setbacks, we're going within and figuring out what we need to do in order to progress. So that's good. And then with the moon, of course, we have the full moon in Aries, which a lot of people also call the hunter's moon. And full moons, again, we celebrate new beginnings. I'm sorry. We usually celebrate completions, not new beginnings. That's the new moon. And, or we're bringing something to an end. So releasing rituals are usually common during full moon season. So again, that depends on what you have going on in your life. I feel like there should be some releasing here on the full moon, especially since we're going within and trying to figure out what we need to do that has set us back so we can progress. So there definitely should be some ritual of some sort to release and to continue to bring this more positive energy within our lives. So, question is, does the moon and the sun harmonize or do they conflict? And the answer is we have that air and fire combination with Libra, because the sun is in Libra, and then we have the fire, which the full moon is in Aries. So with this combination, there's going to be some unstableness. We're going to have bursts of energy that's going to eventually follow with a burnout and mental exhaustion. And it doesn't do well in the physical realm as much as it does in our imagination. So just be mindful of that. And next, we want to talk about Mercury. We always want to look at Mercury to see if it supports or changes our self-expression. And since Mercury is in Scorpio, it will change our self-expression in an insightful way. And with that water energy from Scorpio, it would give us a fresh and new perspective on when it comes to communication with our partners or any of our loved ones or any person in general. And then also with Mercury, it's preparing to go retrograde on Samhain or Halloween, October 31st, and it will be in retrograde until November 20th. So this is to believe that you just have to be prepared. And even though we're starting, again, if you believe that Halloween or Samhain is the new year, even though we're getting ready and jump-starting that new year, we also have to go back and realize, okay, what happened in the past or what happened within this past year in order for me to progress for this new year. So be prepared for Mercury, because it's, a lot of people be like, Mercury retrograde, like everything's going to stir up, everything's going to mess up. But it's for our betterment, because you can work with Mercury retrograde for your betterment. You might have, for example, say you had a job that you applied for a few months ago and you never heard back from them, and all of a sudden Mercury retrograde hits and you get an email from them saying, oh, a position just opened up and we looked back in our files and we found your resume and we would like to set up an interview. So Mercury retrograde has this way to, work with us and to bring dust off some things that we might have missed in order for us to proceed and grow. Now, of course, we have some X's that might pop up and, stuff like that. But that's just a test to see if you have really healed and that you're ready to bring in love that you really want and you deserve. So be mindful. Be mindful. Okay. Next up, we're going to talk about the emphasis on the houses. And so when houses contain 2 or more planets, it has a definite impact on our lives. So we have a few instances where I believe it's 3 different houses that are emphasizing on this full moon. So we have the full moon and Uranus retrograde in the second house, and that is going on for our personal resources and our possessions. And it has to do with attitudes toward money and what is valued. So with this new beginning that we're starting, we've really been talking about reaping our harvest, or sowing our seeds, and what we're trying to do. We're trying to set a path financially in order to progress and see, and we won't see that progression, or we won't see it, it's not until like years to come. But if we're planting those seeds now, that's what's going on with that second house energy. We're thinking of a master plan. That's what just came to my head. Thinking of a master plan. So with us thinking about how we can progress financially, we're making moves towards that. So that's beautiful. And then we're also observing our emotions towards finances with this moon, this full moon in Aries, and how we can generate more security with in a more eccentric way, but also trusting our intuition with Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And now we have the Sun and Venus and Mercury in the eighth house, and that's all about transmutation, like that regeneration, birth, death, rebirth. And it's crazy that we have a lot of emphasis. Well, we have 3 planets in the eighth house, because I've personally been seeing a lot of 8s lately. And as soon as I'm the type of person where if I see a number, like I'm like, okay, this means that, this means this. But 8's been popping up, and I'm like, regeneration, regeneration, regeneration. And it's so obvious that this is going on because, we've started a new cycle. With this Aries new moon, we're preparing for the new year with Halloween coming up, Samhain. So this birth, death, rebirth is definitely going on. This transformation has been working itself for some months and years now. So the eighth house, it indicates how resources are shared with others, as well as giving to oneself. So just be mindful of, what's going on. How are you, communicating with others? How are you giving to others? Are you more, worried about how others will perceive you? If that's the case, just, let that go. That might be something that you want to release in your full moon ritual. So yes, emphasis on that, because we have to take any negative energy that is put upon us, use that energy, transmute that energy into something that we want to put out in the world, what we actually really want to manifest, and what we really want to show up in our lives. And then lastly, we have, for the emphasis on the houses, we have the North Node, Saturn, and Pluto in the 11th house. And that's all about community. I said community. So we may notice that this year we have grown tremendously in our social lives, and that we are doing more work towards that. And if we're building our own communities with like-minded peoples, we might have, a group of people that we've been hanging with, for a while, and you notice that, your perspective has changed on some things, but not necessarily their perspective has changed on some things. And though, y'all still friends, y'all still family, you need a little more. You need like-minded people to know that, you're not alone in your journey. You're not alone in, the things that you are into. So we've been doing the work that way. I know personally for me, I would say I would say 2 years ago, I was very, closed off, not that social. I could play the part like if I was at work, like, I had to be like, oh, hi, yes, let me help you. Yes. But, if off the clock, don't talk to me. I don't want you to talk to me. No. But now I find myself more sociable. Now that I'm more, open to things, that I'm finding more people like me. I'm developing like a community, an online community as well as a community within my surroundings. So I wonder if you all have been being more social too, or if you've been noticing that about yourselves. So let me know. Let me know how that's working out for you. All right. Last, we have the aspects we're going to get into. So we have a few points here for the aspects. And first, we have, of course, the full moon in Aries, opposition, the sun in Libra. And anytime the moon and the sun are in opposition, that creates a full moon. So this is calling us to reconstruct our lives. But it may be difficult due to deep-rooted childhood issues and programming, I would say, because we're starting that new cycle, and we're here. Aries has a sense of self. How do we perceive ourselves? How do we perceive our identity? And that might be the big question here, that you may ask yourself in your ritual, like who am I? What do I perceive myself to be? Who am I? Who am I not? And who am I to other people? That should be the first one. Who am I to other people? What I'm not? Who am I? So it will really illuminate childhood issues and programming, because we're stepping into this new cycle of ourselves, but we're also thinking in the past, like, well, I wasn't brought up that way, or oh, I wasn't taught to do things that way. But you've been on your own for a while now. You know what you have to do in order to progress. So don't worry about other people when it comes to those type of things, because it's all based on your happiness. If you want to be happy, you have to do what you have to do in order to create your own happiness and to create your own destiny. So just be mindful of that. All right. And we also talked about the onion layer here, and that transformation. When we transform and another onion layer has been peeled, there's another layer of healing. There's another layer of transformation that we have to do. So just keep healing. Healing doesn't stop. We think that, oh, I'm healed. I'm great. I can do whatever now. Hold up. Hold up. You gotta still, there's still more healing every day of your life. So just be open to heal and to grow, because everything is ever changing. So next we have full moon in Aries squaring off with Saturn, Pluto in the South Node in Capricorn. So there will be some tension with self-identifying who we are and what we really want to do long term, as far when it comes to strategies to be successful. This will move away from tradition as well as what we have been doing in the past. That's that childhood issues and the reprogramming. And then transformation is at play within us and in the world. But of course, with transformation comes tension and conflict. So with tension and conflict, we have to be adaptable. We can't get caught up in the conflict that's going on. That's easier said than done, I know. But just be open to receive, and if you're having a hard time right now, know that it's because there's change that is going on and within you, and just be thankful for the transformation at play. All right, next we have full moon in Aries, trine Jupiter and Sagittarius. I really like this aspect. I'm happy to see this aspect because the full moon is calling us to figure out what we're going to do as far as transforming our identity. And the trine with Jupiter complements and sets us up so we can expand our knowledge in order to transform. So we'll be more optimistic about the future and setting our goals to progress. So I'm feeling this. I'm feeling this trine. We have to get, with all this transformation and all this conflict that's going on with who we are, trying to establish who we are. There will be expansion and growth in that. So again, with all the conflict that's going on, it's going to be okay because we see that with the full moon trine Jupiter. So next we have Uranus in retrograde in Taurus, opposition Venus in Scorpio. So with this, we may experience or may have experienced tension within our love lives this week. Of course, we talked about that intense jealousy, drama, or more issues that may arise and will cause disagreements and arguments. So again, just be mindful, stay grounded. All things work out. If you have disagreements and arguments, it might be for a reason. Just have more communication. After you all cool off, but everything will be just fine. And you might come to a resolution where you all don't need to be together. That's fine because that might be a part of your transformation process. You might not need that person anymore, or the universe is telling you in that sense, like you don't need this person, or I'm removing this person out of your life in order for you to progress and be your highest and greatest self. So depends on what's going on in your life there. All right. And then we have Mercury in Scorpio trine Neptune retrograde, in which with Mercury in Scorpio, we will experience insightful communication from the divine in a more sufficient way, which will help us decipher the energy we're receiving from Neptune and Pisces. Now, because it could be either an escape of energy or a more spiritual inspiration. So that escape of fantasy could be just binge watching Netflix. It could be your partner. It could be work. And you might get downloads while you're in that space and you just think that, it's nothing. But with with Mercury in Scorpio, you'll be able to communicate with that, and it will be a more clearer message that comes with what you're really trying to put out there. All right. Next are some highlighted aspects. We have Jupiter in Sagittarius sextile the Sun in Libra. And that's that expansion and transformation. And it doesn't happen overnight. I know we've been working on this for months and years now. And with this aspect, people can see outwardly that you all have been putting in the work and that we're leveling up. And what we've been doing behind the scenes is now coming out to light. People are seeing more of our transformation process. We're not necessarily all the way there. Again, we have some years before we're at a place where we really want to be. But it's beautiful when the work that you have been putting out, people are beginning to notice. Next, we have Saturn in Capricorn square the full moon in Aries. And this could be difficult and controlling it'll be difficult in us controlling our emotions, and lower vibrational energies such as depressive state of minds, physical and emotional separations that we have between ourselves and our partners may be at play. And that's going on with previous aspects I've talked about, of course, Venus and Scorpio. So just know that this is lingering in the air, and this is also intensifying that energy. So there may be a sense of abandonment, a sense of betrayal, a sense of backstab and all that. But just be mindful of all of this, and know that don't let the energy consume you. Don't let it consume you. This is a great way. If you felt that way, it's a great way to release all that in a full moon ritual. And I keep saying like a full moon ritual. Well, what do you do in a full moon ritual? So you could write, of course, I meditate, get my mind clear, have a sheet of paper. This is in a simple form. Have a sheet of paper, write what you want to release. I release such and such. I release this person. I release fear. I release all this. And you fold the paper, fold it away from you since you're releasing, fold it away. Or you can fold it and you can set it on fire. Since we're working with fire, you can flush it down the toilet. I like fire, anytime that I'm releasing. And if this is the case, you don't necessarily have to fold it. You can hold it and just light it on fire, watch it burn, put it in a fire safe container. It could be, I just use a pot and just let it burn. And sometimes it stops burning. You have to pick it up, burn it again. But in picking it up, pay attention what's still left that has not burned. Really think about, is this something that I want to release? Because there might be some tension there. It's like, oh, wait. But if you're like, no, I need to release this, light it up. So next we have Saturn in Capricorn square the Sun in Libra, and it goes hand in hand with that square off with the full moon in Aries, because we'll have difficult life circumstances to overcome with this aspect, which will put us again in that depressive state of mind, physical or and emotional separations. So tie in, I feel like the sun will illuminate and bring that into light. You'll be able to see more difficult circumstances happen, not necessarily behind the scenes, more in your face. So, no.
I didn't understand.
I don't know why my phone does that. Anytime that I it's so weird. But anyway, we have a couple of more. And next we have Pluto in Capricorn square the full moon in Aries, as well as Pluto in Capricorn square off Sun in Libra. So there's going to be trauma and emotional drama, feeling of abandonment and rejection, and we may have some stubborn and resistance to the transformation that's taking place. So Saturn and Pluto is really giving us a hard time here, I see. But again, it's for our better good. And even though the emotional traumas are happening, just take it for what it is. Thank the universe for showing you that, hey, I don't need this in my life, or hey, I've grown. I've grown. This drama that's in my life, these hardships that's in my life, it's not affected me as much as it has in the past. So I thank you for this growth. I thank you for this transformation this transformational journey that I'm still on. So if you change your perspective that way and just acknowledge and always have gratitude, this will definitely work in your favor. All right, that's all that I have for you for our full moon in Aries forecast. I hope that this information was very informative for you, because definitely as I was preparing this, I could see that some of the things that have been going on in my life this week made a lot of sense. So just, we're ever changing, we're always transforming, and we just have to be open and acknowledge our transformation, and acknowledge the tension that might be there, and know that when there's tension, there's also growth and something that is beautiful and blossoming awaiting us. So I'm so happy for this energy. I'm sending loving and caring and nurturing energy to all of my celestial kings and queens. And leave a comment down below and let me know how you're celebrating this full moon. I hope y'all have a lovely, lovely full moon, and I'll see you in the next one. All right.